Alrighty, welcome. I'm Randy Cross, and this is Unsafe Spaces. This is our second season, episode 12, and we think we got a good one for you. We have our usual fun and games. We've got our sports, we've got our wambulance, we've got our feel-good story. Today's interview will be with Lisa Farrell, who is the co-president of the Georgia Production Partnership. And you'll learn a lot more about the Production Partnership and the work it does here in the state of Georgia. But before we do that, let's take a look at this.
It began as an idea. It grew into a dialogue. It evolved into a singular voice. Soon this group became a catalyst for growth and change. It became the voice of film and media production in Georgia. Georgia Production Partnership today boasts hundreds of members, spanning every aspect of filmmaking and media production. Every day, we're actively promoting the industry through communication, education, and advocacy. GPP was instrumental in helping to pass into law entertainment tax incentives, which have made Georgia one of the top 5 states in the country for movie and television production, benefiting thousands of Georgia businesses and providing tens of thousands of jobs. GPP works closely with elected officials and with the State Film, Music, and Digital Entertainment Office to grow Georgia as a top production destination. It is our passion to build our talent pool and develop the next generation of production professionals. It is our promise to be an advocate for the best in production incentives. The numbers speak for themselves. More than 26 feature films, nearly 100 major television shows, more than 250 TV commercials, and scores of digital games. $1.3 billion in economic impact. This year alone in Georgia. In 1995, it was just an idea. Today, GPP is the voice of the industry.
And so that's just a little teaser as to what the Georgia Production Partnership is about. And we'll be talking to Lisa Farrell about that here in a little bit. But next, a little commentary by me. The last few days, Mark Zuckerberg, he of Facebook fame, he's worth tens of hundreds or whatever of billions of dollars, was testifying before Congress, being very evasive, not saying much of anything. I got a huge kick out of this. The little booster seat they had him sitting on. I wasn't quite sure if that was to make him look taller or just to help his butt out because he was sitting there for hours and hours, allegedly being quote unquote grilled. Can you really be grilled by people, 85% of whom you contribute to their campaigns and you give money to these people? How much grilling actually goes on? Is he mildly uncomfortable? Yeah, you could say that. People have quit Facebook. Those that thought they could quit Facebook, for your information, you can't. They get your information once you've signed up, and they even get your information even if you're not on Facebook. You see, data accumulator, that's Mr. Data Accumulator right there. Just a little side note, Tuesday, as he was testifying and collecting information on all the guys with cameras you see in that picture, the market closed and Facebook was up. And Zuckerberg, during his testimony and at the end of the day, the trading day on Wall Street, made $3 or $4 billion Tuesday. So how much were they grilling him? They weren't grilling him much, but there's a lot of people out there that are not happy with Facebook and Zuckerberg, the least of which is a couple of young ladies by the name of Diamond and Silk. But we won't go into that. Let's hear some thoughts from a group called the Deplorable Choir.
We're the Deplorable Choir. Mark Zuckerberg, you've got some explaining. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. And this is only the beginning of our complaining. If you keep silencing us, I've got something stole our data, but we hope you get indicted. See you later. You're really just as sneaky as a big ol' alligator, hiding behind a tiny little twig. Mother sucker, let's have a word. Come meet us out back with my can of whoop-ass. Mother sucker, time to pucker up your lips so you can kiss this. Mark Zuckerberg, you are a turd. Come meet us out back with my can of whoop-ass. It's not really cool what you're doing to conservatives. You think you're gonna circumvent the media by shutting us up? That's only gonna bring us to the polls. And for anybody that thinks that we were bad for kind of like playing a bad word, we weren't really saying it. No, Mother Zucker. Just a play on words. No harm. Bye-bye. We're all friends here. Bye-bye.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And yeah, I'm sure he didn't like that too much. I love that little kid there in the end, though. That was a nice touch. Just FYI, during his testimony, Zuckerberg did mention something on the horizon within another 10 years or so. Though he couldn't define what hate speech was, even in their terms of what hate speech was, the way they censor groups, he said that he'll have artificial intelligence, AI programs written that will preemptively ban hate speech. And, I don't care how technically sound you may be. If that doesn't scare the crap out of you, nothing will, at least not today. All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And time now for our interview with Lisa Farrell of the Georgia Production Partnership. Coming up.
How you doing, me? It's Top. How you doing, me? It's Top.
All right, as promised, we're joined now by Lisa Farrell from the Georgia Production Partnership. Lisa, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this is a subject that's I've always been curious about, and I've really enjoyed sort of learning more about the role of the film and TV and the production business that's come to Georgia. Now, a lot of people are aware of the spurt over the last, probably 5 to 10 years.
Probably 10 years. This is actually, I'm glad you brought that up. It's the anniversary of the 10-year anniversary of the tax incentive for Georgia.
Okay.
So that's why you see that spurt.
And that's one of the main focuses of what the Georgia Production Partnership does, is kind of shepherding all that, isn't it?
Yes, we promote, protect, and support the tax incentive. Back 10 years ago now, a group of filmmakers got together, and together they created and pushed the tax incentive. And now, since we have it, it's not evergreen. It needs to be protected and supported. And like I said, this is the 10-year anniversary, so we're really excited how it helped to grow our film industry here.
For you, it's been fun talking earlier before we started. You're from Sonoya?
I am.
And Sonoya, to fans, especially of The Walking Dead, there's a town that was basically rebuilt and formed for that show.
Exactly.
And, the Zach Brown band has got a footprint in there, and, all that. But, there's so much more than just that. And there's such a rich history when it comes to especially TV and movies.
You're exactly right. And a lot of people don't know this. We had a film industry there before Walking Dead. When I was in high school, and I will not tell you when that was, they built a studio, Riverwood Studios. And so, and Snow is very, very small. And there are only like 90 people in my graduating class. So they use us to PA, and they were shooting things like Pet Cemetery, Andersonville, Fried Green Tomatoes. And our high school had a little television show. We called it On Target. And by the time I went to college, I already had a reel. But because our town was so small and in those days so far away from Metro, we just assumed everybody lived that way. don't you all have a studio in your town?
Yeah, exactly. Full production facilities. What how there's one name that, at least for me as a neophyte in the business, let's say, Tyler Perry to me has become synonymous with not only those unbelievable movies he's made, but from a production standpoint. Could you talk a little bit about what he's been able to do in this town?
I can talk a bit about it just from being an observer. I've never worked with Tyler Perry, but because our industry here in Georgia is so incestuous, of course, I've worked with people who have worked with him, and I've watched him from afar. He created his own model, his own paradigm, which is remarkable because he started out doing stage plays, and he took those and turned them into features because he knew who his audience was. So he was able to bypass the studio system in a way that other people had not here in Georgia, because that's one of our things, is that having green lighting a show doesn't really happen here in Georgia, except for with Tyler Perry. And he has just been prolific and evergreen and really helped to bring the focus on our state that we are content creators and we do know the business of film. So yes, he is a native son who has done very well.
Yeah, and it's been fun to see. I remember, was it a couple of years ago, I was downtown, I think for a Hawks game, and I came out of the parking lot, and all of a sudden streets are blocked out.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it, I roll my window down, there's a policeman standing there. I said, "What's the deal?" And he goes, "Oh, Avengers." I said, "Oh, okay."
Isn't that marvelous that, like, I'm going to say all of the Marvel films that you have seen, feature films that you have seen, have been here in Georgia because you've got Pinewood. And so all of them are being shot. Guardians, Avengers, every last one of them. And like people are, they say like we live in Wakanda because Black Panther was shot here. And then when you're watching the films, it's so much fun because like in Black Panther, when they go to the British Museum, I think it is.
Right.
That's actually the high. So if you watch these films, you'll see so much of Georgia in them. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how important, though, to what we've seen happen, and you talk about the 10th anniversary of the tax situation, the exemptions. How important is that to Hollywood, to the left coast, to be able to come in here and do what they do? And aren't they, to a degree, kind of cutting off their nose to spite their face? I mean,
no, it comes down to the bottom line. They are trying to save money, and our tax incentive is one of the best in the world. It is with a $500K spend in the state of Georgia, you get a 20% tax incentive. Then if you use the Peach logo, it's an additional 10% for 30% tax incentive. Now, I think starting this past January, post-production was also added to that, and also music. So you can do an entire production here and save money. Now, the tax incentive is fantastic for attracting the film, but we've also got the infrastructure with the studios that we're building. You live here, we've got all kind of terrain. So there's not anything you're looking for, you can find it. You want desert? Okay. You want beach? Okay. And also, we've got the trained crew, and we've got the Georgia Film Academy training them. You've got us training them. So, while the tax incentive brings them here, it's Georgia that keeps them here. So,
and when you talk about the Georgia Production Partnership, how is it best to describe what it is to the industry? Is it a central point? Is it a rallying point?
We are a coalition of filmmakers and everyone who is involved in the film industry. And I love to say that the entire state of Georgia is involved in the film industry. I went to a film premiere in Toccoa to talk about how the film industry can revitalize a small town. And a person who was an HVAC salesman, he put the AC systems in their trailers. And so then when people started coming back to town, they would recommend him. He's now in the film industry. You've got a Home Depot that's built at Pinewood because they need construction. You need hair, you need makeup, you need clothing, you need food. There is nothing that the economic impact of the film industry does not touch, because for Georgia, it's a $9.5 billion industry, and it's all over the state. In fact, HBO is shooting a series right now in Barnesville, and it's I think it's Sharp Objects. I think it is. It's based on a book by Gillian Flynn, who did Gone Girl.
Right. Because
they were looking for a pig farm. And they found one there, and then they saw everything else, and they were like, well, let's just do the whole thing here. And that's the kind of great state we live in. You've got everything that would attract the industry here.
How competitive is the environment from a state standpoint? How many are more states now out there trying to footprint what Georgia has done?
Yes, they are, of course. Now, again, back to the tax incentive. We're not the only ones with an incentive, but other states who have lost their incentive, like Carolina, well, their industry moves here because people want the incentive. Mm-hmm. So, yes, there are other states with tax incentives. Not all of them are as good as ours. And you also need the other things, too, that I said, the infrastructure, the trained crew, the willingness to be accessible to the film industry. Like you said, when you came out, the streets blocked off. Well, there are some places, and I'm not going to name the states, where if somebody's shooting next door of our stores, that people will come out and just make noise.
Yeah.
And say, well, yeah, I'll stop for like $1,000.
Okay.
So yeah. So you've got, but we've got people are always commenting on how friendly our industry is, how friendly our state is, how welcoming it is. And it is. And, not just to the film industry, but I think I may be biased, but I just think that's just the way that we are.
Yeah, I grew up in a SAG-AFTRA family, and I've been a member since, I guess, about 80 or so. And how involved are the unions in all this, in everything that goes on as far from the production standpoint? Well,
they're very involved. We have, like our last meeting actually was at the Union Hall 479. Mm-hmm. Like I said, for GPP, we're the watering hole for the entire industry, and it behooves all of us to come together and make sure that the industry stays strong and that it stays here, and that we're all cooperating with each other in order to make that happen. So, yes, I'd say they're very involved.
Are you any sort of a resource for the smaller groups, for the small production companies, for the, in the regular business world, you'd say the mom and pop shops.
Yes.
But from the production standpoint, or what kind of a watering hole are you for those kind of people?
Well, GPP has a monthly general membership meeting. Mm-hmm. We meet the first Tuesday of every month, and recently it's been at the Plaza because Chris Escobar, who owns the Plaza, was our past vice president. And that's what I mean, we're all just in it together. Mm-hmm. But it's a great opportunity to network. And we have speakers who are, like we had a tax panel to talk about how the new taxes affect the smaller shops. I'm a freelance producer myself, so all of this stuff affects me too.
Yeah.
So I'd say we're a great resource.
That's fantastic. Now, what exactly should people know about the Georgia Production Partnership and how it affects them? Because it seems to be something that we've talked about, the movies and whatnot, but why really should people care about? And I know it's a $9.5 billion resource for the state, but why would the average person say, well, what do they do? What do they do for me?
Well, because of the economic impact, like I said, it affects the entire state. You don't have to be behind the camera or in front of the camera for you to be able to benefit from the film industry. Like I said, I'm from Sonoy, and it's a very small town. Well, there are like cottage industries that have just sprang up around it. There are coffee shops dedicated to Walking Dead. There are walking tours. There are bus tours. We just did a regional meeting in Macon, and a girl I went to high school with that I have not seen since then told me that they just bought up like all of the property in like Harrelson, which is an adjacent town.
Right.
And they're turning it into like a backlot. So it affects everybody and it helps everybody. If we keep this industry strong here in the state of Georgia, we keep Georgia strong.
How do people help do that? Where can they go? Who can they talk to?
Well,
do you talk to your local your congressman? Do you talk to an assemblyman?
Well,
do you
this
talk
is
to
the
the
great
state
thing.
representatives?
The state of Georgia, the great thing about us, we have a film office, the Georgia Film Office, and I'm sorry I don't have their email address, their website address, but ours is georgiaproduction.org. And if you go in there, you will see links to things that can be helpful to you. We also have industry partners, and they're linked on there. For the Georgia Film Office, though, if you go in there, you will see different ways that, like, you can showcase your property for a location to be shot at. And one of the unique things about the state of Georgia is I think we have 152 or 159 counties. Each county has a camera-ready representative that is linked to the state. So nobody knows their home better than the people who live there.
Right.
So let's say you want to film in Georgia and you looking for a pig farm. Well, the camera-ready operatives there would know exactly where you should go, who you should talk to, what you should do. And they cut out all of the guesswork. They will help you. They partner with you. So, and that's over the entire state.
Well, I'll give you a good example. I've got my youngest daughter's boyfriend is raising bison down outside. It sounds like he's doing what? But it's down in Greenville.
Yeah.
And he was approached by somebody that said, "Hey, we would like to come out and see your place." And is that the kind of effect that happens for people?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. With the locations, with something unique like that, the film office would love to know about that. Mm-hmm. And if you go to their site, and again, if you first go to georgiaproduction.org and you can link to their site, they will show you how to take pictures and upload them of your locations, so that when people are calling looking for a bison farm, they don't have to guess or go someplace else. It's like, oh,
we need buffalo, and we don't have to go to Montana to see them.
No, you do not.
Lisa, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. This is
you.
exciting stuff. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Like I told you, I can talk Georgia and Georgia film with you all day. I love the state of Georgia. I love this industry. We are good at this. We're getting better at this, and people love us.
And just a good old Sonoya girl at heart.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Very small town.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
How you doing, real tough, tough? How you doing, real tough, tough?
Well, thank you again to Lisa Farrell of the Georgia Production Partnership. Some great information. I hope everybody enjoyed that. And again, it's georgiaproduction.org is the website to go to for more information. If you have one of those sites, whether it's a bison farm or not, go and find out what you can do to promote your facility or promote yourself. All right. Thanks for coming in to Lisa. Really appreciate that. Time now for a little Unsafe Spaces Sports. Some pretty good themes here in sports over the past week, but the overriding sports story of the week was the Masters tournament down in Augusta, Georgia. CBS, to a degree ESPN earlier in the week, but CBS did just a phenomenal job, soup to nuts, as they always do, in presenting the Masters. But ultimately, no matter how good TV is at anything, and as beautiful as the pictures are, it really comes down to the golf. This guy, Jordan Spieth, looked like he was going to make a run and catch Patrick Reed, the eventual winner. Now, Patrick Reed originally played golf at the University of Georgia. Then he played at Augusta State. They won a couple of national championships. He's won a few other events. This is his first major, and he held up to the pressure extremely well. It made for a very compelling Saturday and an amazing Sunday to watch. Ricky Fowler also made a little bit of a run. Tiger Woods was not a factor, just didn't have it. Well, whatever it is in golf, he didn't have it. Sergio Garcia there on the left with the tie, he's last year's winner. And in case you don't know, the previous winner always presents the current winner with their green jacket. So we've got a former Georgia, Augusta State winner of the Masters in Patrick Reed. Congratulations. And it was a fantastic week. Ratings for the telecasts over the weekend were up 18%. And that's all without that guy, Mr. Woods, being any kind of a factor at all over the weekend. All right, let's move on to story number 2. And that's something that usually doesn't go together. This time of the year, you'll see it some, and that's snow in Major League Baseball. And it was, you had places like Chicago and Detroit or whatnot, but how about that? You know, that looks like, oh yeah, sure, snow at Wrigley Field, pshaw, couldn't possibly happen. Well, we got some pictures for you. Yeah, that's not photoshopped. That's snow on a tarp protecting a baseball field, and those are Chicago Cubs having a little snowball fight and having fun. They got no business. I mean, there was snow in Colorado, there was snow in Chicago, there was snow in Detroit. It is crazed that you're doing this, but a lot of this, and these pictures will convey a whole lot of that. Tell me that doesn't bring out the little kid and every big, bad, high-paid professional athlete out there. Snow in any sport is better. But snow in baseball, for the game, it doesn't help anything. But for the mood, man, they were having all kinds of fun in Chicago. Third story here in our Unsafe Spaces Sports is a semi-unsafe story. For those of you who don't know who Tristan Thompson is, he's a forward, plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he and his girlfriend, Khloe Kardashian, are expecting a baby any day now. Well, the other day, some pictures came out of him getting way too familiar with a couple of young ladies. Now, I'm not a skeptical type, and I guess it's a sign of my age, there's a term in this that fits this whole relationship that I think is, I almost refuse to use, but I know what it is. Baby mama. Baby mama is now an accepted part of our vernacular. You know, it used to be called illegitimate child, but now you got a baby mama says the same thing. Well, she's due to have a baby any day now. This suddenly comes out. That picture and the video that went with it of Tristan Thompson and those girls, that's from last October. Now, dig a little deeper into this story, and you got the real story here. The Kardashians. Keeping up with the Kardashians, their current season is starting to wind down filming-wise, and they're about to have another season premiere. Nobody knows how to pimp and promote quite like Mama Kardashian, Kris Jenner. She is unbelievable at this. And this is just more publicity for a group that, honestly, they don't really need too much publicity. But there you go. Just got a little bit more. And also the last story of Unsafe Spaces Sports, Alabama, the Crimson Tide. Ah, yes, they made a trip to the White House. The funny story was that Nick Saban was making recruiting calls to high school kids while he was on the grounds at the White House. But here you got, that's Alabama. They've got their national championship. No, it's not University of Central Florida. Sorry. Alabama won the national championship, so Auburn did not win the Alabama State Championship. They spent their time at the White House. I've done that before. It's a great experience. You get to take a picture with the president. You're in the White House. It's an honor. No one knelt down in protest. None of that other nonsense. There was some prayer, so I'll warn you up front. When you dig into the story, you will find pictures and stories about Trump and some of the players, from some of the Alabama players, saying a prayer together. So if that kind of flips you out and toasts your bagel, then you might want to avoid that. But Alabama got their recognition. Nick Saban and company got their pictures and probably helped something that doesn't need helping, kind of like publicity for the Kardashians. Well, help recruiting is not something Alabama needs. Hey, that'll do it for Unsafe Spaces Sports. That means it's time now for the Wambulance. Well, it's been a few weeks since the state of Florida has been in our news or on our podcast here, but the state of Florida is back because, yes, the wind can do some amazing work. And you didn't see things there. There was a story out of Florida. A woman was pulled over. Now, in the woman's purse, they found marijuana and they found cocaine, a little bag of cocaine. Her explanation? That says it all. It's a windy day. It must have flown in through the window. Seriously? It flew in through the window? That's as good as you can do? God, I mean, just a little piece of me hopes that defense works. But how do you come up? Let's say hello to my little friend. Now that didn't blow in through the window. Tony Montana did not have that excuse available. But, hey, wait a minute. Cocaine and waffles don't even go together. But anyway, yeah, I thought you might enjoy that. It blew in through the window. Hey, you got to try something. That's called an interesting defense. Let's move on now to the feel-good story of the day. And this is a story that we kind of missed by one day because yesterday, Wednesday, was National Pet Day. If you got a pet, you've got to agree with anything that's written. It's such a great experience. Animals make us better. For all that, you bring out the best in me stuff about, marriages and proposals and marriage vows and cards you buy. The reality of that is pets make us better people. Because pets can make us better because people at times aren't that great. But check out some of these silly pet videos. Look at that. You don't smile at that? Okay, where's the pet? There he is. It's just stuff like this. It makes you smile. And the tricks these animals can do. Dave Letterman had a whole crazy pet tricks for years on his show.
What are you doing, mister?
Whoa. How much do those things hold? Well, both bird feeders look full. That's a lot of seed.
That's kind of gross.
That's kind of gross. Though I will, if you have a pet chipmunk or a pet squirrel, I don't know about that. I've had dogs my whole life. I love dogs. Dogs are the best. My wife will tell you that she loves cats, but I've turned her into a dog person. It's actually worked. These are great videos. And that's a smile. That's a smile only a pet owner would love. And check out this video. And this was posted by Chris Evans, he of Avengers fame. And he posted this thing about his first meeting with a rescue dog that he adopted. Check this out.
Hi, dude. Look at you. Look at you, Bubba. Hi, pal. Oh, hi, dude. Hi.
Yeah, and he's had this dog now for a while, but on National Pet Day, he decided to post that video. Rescue dogs. Talk about grateful. My son Brendan's got a rescue dog, Max, and he is one grateful animal. He gets it that there were other options, and he was lucky enough to have a human that cared, be one of those human that care and adopt a pet, because there's plenty of them out there. Hey, want to remind everyone out there that the best place to find Unsafe Spaces is, heck, about anywhere you can find it. You get it on YouTube, you get it on SoundCloud, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, unsafespacesusa.com, randycross.com. It's all out there. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations for us, it's producer@unsafespacesusa.com. All right? Well, that'll do it for this week's podcast. Time now to say happy trails.
Happy trails.